Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar on real value of synthetics in the era of Lightbox. This webinar is brought to you by GemAtlas. GemAtlas is an online community of the gems and jewelry industry for the businesses and professionals to connect, network, and expand. We have with us Mr. Ernest Blom, the president of WFDB, who will be taking us through the seminar today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you to GemAtlas for asking me to moderate and host this particularly interesting subject of the synthetic diamonds. And in the meantime, I will address a few of the questions I have already received. One of the first questions that has been asked is, how will the price of synthetics be affected by Lightbox's pricing? And I think this is a very, very interesting question. If one looks back prior to the advent of Lightbox, we will see that the synthetic producers were pricing their polished rough from around about $2,500 to $4,500 a carat. Now, in my opinion, this is not based on any production figures or what the cost of production is. This is basically where they took the price of diamonds, natural diamonds, and they said, right, so let's work at a discount to the diamonds, and then we'll set our level at a slightly lower level, but that will give us, and again, it's in my opinion, a very, very nice profit margin. I think with Lightbox coming on stream, what they have done is they've basically taken that excessive profit margins completely out of the equation. So what they have done is they've said, right, it costs us, let's say, $300 a carat to make these the synthetic diamonds. It costs us, let's say, another $300 a carat to polish them, and we want to make $200 a carat. And then, lo and behold, they've come to a figure of $800. So they've actually proven that synthetics can and will be much, much cheaper than diamonds, and that price of it will basically depend on the production of synthetics. So I'm actually quite happy with what has happened. I think it's a very positive move, and I think it will bode well both for the diamond industry and in future for the synthetic industry. I've often gone on record as saying that I have no problem with synthetic diamonds. I think they have a very, very important niche market to play into. The only two problems that I had was where there was unethical people selling synthetics as natural diamonds, and then also the synthetic producers basically always running down the natural diamond industry to try and promote their own industry. But at the end of the day, I fully support the advent of synthetic diamonds, and I think they have a role to play in our industry. One of the other questions that was asked is, will the level of synthetic production increase over time? And I think, yes, it will. It will increase incrementally. I think that the more machines that are being made to produce synthetic diamonds, the more synthetic diamonds are going to produce. It's not like a diamond that was made in the earth that's got a finite situation. Synthetics is a product that you can make as many of those synthetic diamonds as you wish, depending on how many machines you have. Whereas with the natural diamonds, this was made by nature. It was made millions and millions or millions of years ago, and there's a supply and there's a finite amount of natural diamonds left in the world. So yes, definitely synthetic diamonds will increase in production. And I think it's also depending on consumers. Will the consumers want to buy more diamonds, synthetic diamonds? I'm sure they will. So yes, I think that synthetic diamonds will improve, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a very, very good thing. So yes, so that is that. Then one of the third questions is will lab-grown diamonds manufacturers still try to maintain their high prices? Well, that is an interesting question, because I think that it will depend on supply and demand. It will depend on what the consumer is going to do. What we have to understand is that the consumer is much more savvy today than what it was many, many years ago. Not only do they look at our diamond industry and they do their research, they want to know where the diamonds have come from, how has it benefited communities, is it ethically sourced and polished, etc. And so the consumer will also look at the synthetic diamond market and say, right, what is the price of synthetic diamonds? Will I want to pay a lot more than what I can pay if I buy a Lightspeed diamond? So I think it's a question of supply and demand. And the other question to be asked is, will synthetic diamonds then also decrease in value? And I think yes, because the more you make, the cheaper it becomes. So it's an interesting conundrum that the synthetic producers are in, because they need to balance the market with what is out there. And this is, again, I think Lightbox has done a fantastic job. And they need to make sure that they play in the game all the time. Then the fourth question is, what can we do as a diamond industry to make a clear distinction between natural and lab-grown diamonds? Well, there again, I think that what we have done as the World Federation is we've made sure that the nomenclature is extremely important. The descriptors that we use is extremely important. And we have sent it out there to all our members in all the diamond bourses around the world, exactly what you can call a synthetic diamond and a natural diamond. And again, I'm using the word natural for this particular conversation, but when we refer to diamonds, that's automatically assumed to be natural diamonds. Synthetic diamonds has their own nomenclature, and the Federal Trade Commission echoed that when they brought out their new guidelines. So I think what we need to do is just to make sure that we adhere to the nomenclature that is there, and we make sure that we use it all the time. Our biggest problem is the other problem, and that is the undeclared mixing of diamonds. I think that is something that we have a zero tolerance for, and we will continue to monitor that and take action against people that are doing that. And then one of the last questions that was had before I go to the questions that are being posed on the screen, the question is, are we doing enough to bring millenniums and the consumer back to the diamond industry? And I would like to say no. We can never do enough. I think we need to do more and more and more. I think it's important that we need to promote our product. It's important that we need to spend money on the promotion of the product. I think that the DPA, as the industry body that is doing this, is doing a good job. Most probably we would like to see them have a bigger budget so they can do more. But yes, I think that each and every one of us needs to do our own little bit in bringing the consumer back to the diamond jewelry market. So yes, I want to say to each and every one of you listening there, let's promote our product. Let's be proud of what we have. It's a great product. And let's make sure that we spread the word. So those are the 5 questions I've received just prior to us coming on to the webinar. I do have a few other words now, a few other questions now. The first one is from P. Tucker. And the question is, what is the future of synthetic diamonds? Well, again, all the opinions that have been put out there into the public domain has said that the synthetic diamonds, which is around about 1.5–2% of global turnover at the moment, will increase to around 7%. So yes, I think that the future is there. I think that the future of synthetics is enshrined in the future of the diamond and jewelry industry. And it's not a bad thing, as I said earlier on in one of my other questions that I answered. It's a good thing. Will it become cheaper? Yes, I think it will. Will it become more prolific? Yes, I think it will, because it's an article that has been made in an oven, and you can produce as many ovens as you want. So yes, I think that the synthetics does have a fairly good future. The second question that I've received here is from Kaushik Sangvi. And it says, what position do you rank India compared to the entire world as a consumer of Lightbox or synthetic diamonds? Kaushik, that's a difficult question to answer. I know that obviously India is the largest manufacturer of diamonds. You just have to look at the amount of polishers you have there. but I'm not sure what the consumption of synthetic diamonds at this particular point in time is. Maybe that's something that GemAtlas can have a look at, and maybe they can put it up on their website to answer the percentage of synthetics that are consumed in India. Kaushik asked a second question. What promotion activities are carried for awareness about Lightbox in India? What I can say is that the DPA, which is the Diamond Producers Association, are really pushing diamonds as the consuming market to buy. I'm not sure if Lightbox itself has started to advertise in India. We do know that they are busy building their facility in America, and that facility I think will be ready next year, when they will really start to be producing diamonds. Apparently they haven't got all that many diamonds to sell at the moment, and whatever they have produced has already been sold. So it's a question of everybody is climbing in at the moment. And I think that obviously as the factory comes on stream next year, they will be promoting the synthetic diamonds quite aggressively into India. I then have a question from Niketesh, who says how blockchain activity will help the tracking of diamonds. This is something that we as the World Federation of Diamond Bourses are actively looking at. Obviously, a lot of people do not understand the full extent of what blockchain can do and is, but I think it's something for the future. It can definitely start to track the diamonds. So yes, it's something that we have embraced. We're looking at how we can in the future roll it out to our members in the industry. So yes, I'm a strong supporter of the blockchain technology, and I think it's something that that will grow in the future, and it'll be used much more. Kaushik then asked another question. The diamond lab-grown technology is constantly improving and therefore lowering production costs. Can we expect lab-grown prices to drop in the near future? Kaushik, I think I have actually addressed that. And yes, again, just to reiterate what I said, is that I definitely think that the production costs and the sales of lab-grown diamonds will definitely drop in the future. The more you produce, the cheaper something becomes. That's just supply and demand, and it's basic business practices. Mr. Thaka P. Thaka says, the prices of synthetic diamonds will remain stable for some time. I'm not sure if this is a question or a comment, but I think that's a difficult one to answer, for the simple reason is that we have Lightbox on the one side where they've dropped the prices to $800 a carat. We have some of the synthetic producers where they have actually increased their prices. So I think it's a question of watching the market and see how it progresses. But yeah, it's I think the jury is still out on this one, because you do have two different pricing structures here, and they're remarkably far apart. Again, from Mr. Thaka is, will the lab-grown diamonds affect the synthetic market? Well, the synthetic market is lab-grown diamonds. I think it's just another name that we use. For synthetic diamonds is lab-grown diamonds. As I said, the nomenclature is very important. So yes, it won't affect it. It's just a question of the nomenclature that we will be using. We have a question from Adar Jain, and he asked, do you think the cost of growing lab-grown diamonds will go down, leading to cheaper goods and further stock losses even after Lightbox reduced prices? There has been a consensus of opinion that with the price of lab-grown diamonds coming in at such a low margin from De Beers, it will affect the lower end of the natural market in diamonds, the producing of diamonds. We have seen a slight reduction in the price of the cheaper goods. Whether that will still go down remains to be seen, but I would like to think not. I would like to think it's stabilized there. And obviously it will all depend on the consumer and on the production costs and the profit margins that the manufacturers want to make. We have a question here from Sahil Javeri. Do Lightbox diamonds come with a certificate or a guarantee? The Lightbox diamonds, I'm sure, I don't think they do. I don't think Lightbox issues any guarantee. They just sell them for what it is. And I think they've taken a decision not to certify diamonds. Obviously, the other producers do certify their diamonds, and the various laboratories around the world do have a synthetic diamond certificate, which is definitely different to our diamond certificates. We have a question from Aditi Maharena. What steps do you think various trade councils should take to develop consumer confidence on both natural and lab-grown diamonds? It's an interesting question. I think that the different diamond organizations, and let's speak about the World Federation, we basically produce, we promote, I should say, we promote natural diamonds, we promote diamonds. So it's something that we have to do. I've said to my members on many occasions, and I have around about 30,000 members in 21 countries. Each and every one of us are actually ambassadors for diamonds. We need to promote our diamond industry. We need to promote the beauty of diamonds. The good diamonds come. So it's not a question of promoting lab-grown diamonds. I'm sure the synthetic producers do that, and they do it quite aggressively, as I've said earlier. But I think we as the diamond industry need to do much more than what we've done to date. Another question from Aditi is, lab-grown diamonds has a parallel market. What, as per you, will be the expected Indian market size of carats in the next 5 years? Again, it's a similar question to the one we had before. India is the biggest producer, and I think it's the third biggest consumer of diamonds in the world. And I have no doubt that it will also grow as a consumer of synthetic diamonds. But in terms of the size and in terms of the extent of what it will be in a few years' time, I think that's still a bit early for us to say, and the jury's still out on that one. Again, another question from Aditi is, what are the minimum sizes in terms of carat available in both HPHT and CVD lab-grown diamonds? Well, I think we know that diamonds are being polished 1-pointers, half-pointers, 2, 3-pointers. So I think that the spectrum of polishing is the whole spectrum that we also have in the diamond industry. So yes, it covers the whole spectrum. Then we have a question from Ashish Kalra, and it goes as such. Synthetic moissanite was launched around the 1990s. The rates were approximately 10% of the comparable quality of diamonds. Now the rates are just 1 to 2% of the comparable diamond quality. Do we expect the same case in synthetic or lab-grown diamonds? If yes, then as per industry analysis, by when? Well, yes, definitely. I think that the price of synthetic diamonds will continue to drop. There's no doubt about that. How far it will continue to drop is a good question, because we don't know what the extent of the manufacturing of synthetic diamonds is yet. But as I said earlier, it's a question of the more you produce, the cheaper they will become. But to put a time frame to it, I think is extremely difficult. But hopefully within the next couple of months, and maybe sometime towards the end of this year, we should have a clearer understanding of what it's going to be. We have another question from Ashish. What steps do you think various trade councils should take to develop consumer confidence on both natural and lab-grown diamonds? Again, I think I've spoken about that. I should speak only on the diamond industry. I can't speak on behalf of the synthetic diamond industry, but yes, I don't think we're doing enough. I think we should have a lot more exposure out there. I think we should do a lot more to promote our product, and each and every one of us, those of you who are on the call this morning on this webinar, all my members around the world, each and every one of us, it's incumbent upon us to promote diamonds, as well as not only through the media, but through word of mouth as well. Then we have another question from Ashish. Lab-grown diamonds has parallel market. What, as per you, will be the expected Indian market size? I think we've answered that particular question. Then it says, Ada Jane says, do you think natural diamonds will become an investment again like it used to be? I do believe it will be. There was a report that was compiled by Bain and Company a few years ago and echoed by a few other reports where the supply of natural diamonds, mined diamonds, will diminish over the years. There's going to be a shortfall of supply over demand of diamonds. So yes, I believe that in years to come, the price of diamonds will increase. Just as I said, conversely, the price of synthetics should drop because they're making more and more of them. So yes, I think the price of diamonds will be going up. Ashish Kalra has asked the question, what are the minimum sizes in terms of, I've answered that questions. We have another question from Nikitish, how millennials' acceptance is towards the lab-grown diamond market. Well, I think there is a certain amount of acceptance. The synthetic diamonds has been aggressively promoted. And they are selling. They are currently 1.5% of global turnover. And it's estimated, as I said earlier, again, it should grow to around about 7%. So I think there is a certain amount of acceptance. Will that acceptance grow? Well, time will tell, but I do not see it as a threat to our diamond industry. Our biggest threat that we as a diamond industry face is the undisclosed mixing of synthetic diamonds or sale of synthetic diamonds as natural diamonds. We then have a question from Ritesh Jain. How will lab-grown diamonds change the perception of the end of the consumer to buy diamond jewelry? Again, I think that especially with Lightbox coming on the scene, they have positioned the synthetic diamonds into a very narrow niche market of costume jewelry, for want of a better word. And I think that's what they're aiming to market towards the consumer, which I totally agree with. Whereas with our diamond market, we are saying diamonds is a store of love. It's a store of wealth. It holds its value. It's something that will be there forever. It's not getting more in the world. It's getting less in the world. So there is this future growth of diamonds, whereas you can't say the same thing for natural diamonds, for synthetic diamonds. Then we have another question from Nikitesh. Has there been any further cases of mixing being raised in the diamond market? I must say, and I'm very happy to report that I've had less and less complaints of mixing. We have had a few complaints of stones being sold as diamonds, but were actually synthetic, and we are following up on this aggressively, and we're actually laying criminal charges against these persons. But I have not heard of as much mixing as we have in the past. So that is a very, very lovely dynamic to be able to accept, and I hope that's going to continue in the future. We have a question from Aliyah. What position do you rank India compared to the entire world as a consumer of Lightbox or synthetic diamonds? Again, Aliyah, I have answered that question. I think it's a bit early to say. I think once we have a better understanding of the production figures, etc., then we'll have a better knowledge of how it's being sold. So at this stage, it's very difficult to estimate. Then we have one from Sunay Gandhi. Do you think it is possible in future that the diamond growing technology is refined to a point where we won't be able to distinguish between lab-grown and natural diamonds? Sunay, I would hope never. But if we look back in history and we look at the original synthetics and the machinery that was developed to detect them, and we look at what the synthetics are now and the machinery that we have and the technology we have now to detect them now, you'll see that our technology, thank goodness, is staying slightly ahead of the curve. And I take my hat off to all the laboratories, the GIA, etc., for the ongoing commitment and spending of capital to make sure that they can detect all the new treatments and all the new synthetic products that are coming on the market. So hopefully that, yes, we'll stay ahead of the curve and we will be able to distinguish in the future between synthetic and diamonds. I then have a question from Amit Kapoor. With time, the process of synthesizing diamonds has improved considerably. Do you think that in future it will be progressively more difficult to differentiate from natural counterparts? Is ID technology keeping a pace with synthetic manufacturing technology? Amit, I think I've answered this question with the previous question's answers. But yes, so far our technology is keeping ahead of the game, and it is definitely staying ahead of what is coming out in the synthetic field. A question from Adar Jain: how to get a price list for lab-grown diamonds like there is for natural diamonds? Adar, I don't think there is a price list for lab-grown diamonds. I think each and every producer actually makes their own price list. And hopefully there will never be a price list for synthetic diamonds. So yes, I don't think there is one out there. And hopefully, as I said, there should never be one. Deepal K asked, are lab-grown diamonds sustainable? That is a very good question to ask. I would think they would be sustainable. It's just a question of the pricing of it. As we said earlier in this webinar, the more synthetic diamonds produced, the cheaper they become. I think then the more they will actually sell to the consumer, because as I said, Lightbox is positioning their product as a costume jewelry object. And I think that with costume jewelry, you can sell them in many pieces compared to the diamond jewelry that we like to sell. I have another question from Nitish Jain. How would margins of lab-grown jewelry differ from natural diamond jewelry? Again, I think that with diamonds, the prices of diamonds will increase, in my opinion, because there will be a shortage of diamonds in years to come. Whereas with synthetic diamonds, I think the price of synthetic diamonds will decrease because of the huge amount of synthetic diamonds that will be produced going forward. So yes, I think there will be an increase in diamonds prices and a decrease in synthetic prices. Adar Jain has asked another question. Have all the diamond bourses around the world banned lab-grown diamonds like the Bharat bourse has? Adar, each and every bourse has its own methodology, an own way of doing things, and its own bylaws. For argument's sake, the Israel Diamond Exchange has banned the sale of synthetic diamonds from its trading floors, but not from its offices in the buildings, in the bourse. I also believe that India, the Bharat Diamond Bourse, is re-looking at that decision they took to see if they need to adjust it, anything. But what it boils down to is that each and every bourse around the world has the right to determine its own policy in terms of the sale of synthetic diamonds. We don't prescribe to that. The only prescription that we do make is that each and every synthetic diamond has to be disclosed, and there's zero tolerance, and there's no moving away from that. So that is what the policy of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses is. We have a question from Sahil Javeri, and he asks, do lab-grown diamonds have a resale value? I would like to think not, and especially going into the future, because the cheaper they become and they become costume jewelry, who's going to buy it, and at what price are they going to buy it? So although it's a difficult question to answer, and I'd say it's a bit early to answer that yet because I haven't heard of any resale of synthetic diamonds, but my opinion, and I'd like to be corrected if I need to be, is that I don't think that will have a great resale value in the future, because anybody can go anywhere and buy a synthetic diamond at a reasonably cheap price. Niketesh M has asked the same question that we've answered before, and that is, how far has the technology advanced for the identification of lab-grown? And as I said, yes, it's very advanced. We are ahead of the game, and obviously because of all the infrastructure and the capital research and development that the gemological laboratories put into it, hopefully we'll stay ahead of the game. Adar Jain asked the question, will the WFDB have a bourse or association for lab-grown diamonds? Adar, that's a question that I cannot answer yet, because we don't know where lab-grown diamonds are going to at this particular point in time. I have reached out as the president of the World Federation to the lab-grown diamond, the lab-grown association, to sit down with them and have a chat to them about various things of mutual interest. I'm still waiting for them to come back to me. But you know, we as a World Federation is an organization that has an open door policy, and we will look at any option that comes our way. And if we have to sit down and discuss it with the lab-grown producers and see how we can have a mutual beneficial relationship, I think we will sit down with them and discuss it with them with pleasure. I have a question again from Niketesh. Thank you for your detailed insight on the progress of Lightbox. We hope that it brings clear transparency in the industry. Thanks, Nitesh. That wasn't a question, that was a comment, and I thank you for your comment as well. Sankalp Goyal asked the question, what is the percentage of the diamond industry is illegal? Is it increasing or is it decreasing? Sankalp, that's an interesting question. And we're obviously speaking about the diamond industry, not the synthetic industry. I come from South Africa, and many years ago when I spoke to the South African Diamond Branch, which was a branch of the South African Police Services, I said, what is the percentage of rough diamonds that is illegal? And they said it's difficult to estimate, obviously, because it is an underground situation, but they think it's around about 10%. What I can say to you is that I think that the percentage of the diamond industry that is illegal is decreasing, and it's decreasing because of many things. One, the Kimberley process has made it extremely difficult to move illegal diamonds around the world. Secondly, it's not that easy to pay for illegal diamonds anymore because of the various anti-money laundering schemes that are in place. So I think that with all the endeavors of the different police forces, of the banking fraternity, of the World Federation and other industry organizations, that the illegal industry is definitely decreasing. But to what extent and how much is extremely difficult to ascertain. What I do know is that, and this has been proven, is that because of the Kimberley process, conflict diamonds has decreased from approximately 7 to 20% of annual turnover to less than 0.2%. And I think that is a success factor. And hopefully that the illegal industry would have the same diminishing percentages. I have a question from Ashish Kalra again. I think this question has been answered, Ashish. Let me just go down to the next one. I have a question from Benifer Paymaster, and the question is it easy to control quality of lab-grown diamonds? In terms of quality, I think they are improving the ability to control the quality. If we look at the lab-grown diamonds that was produced many years ago, they had a lot of inclusions in them, certain types of inclusions. If we look at the quality of the lab-grown diamonds now, they have VVS quality diamonds. So I think, yes, they have got the technology to control the quality of the lab-grown diamonds. What else is there? So I have a question from Milind Bahadapande. The price of Lightbox diamonds is, as you mentioned, $800 per carat. Are they regardless of size and color and clarity? Yes, definitely. De Beers has the Lightbox, or the Lightbox has put it at $800 a carat, irrespective of the size. We have a question from OnePlus. Is the demand for lab-grown diamonds increasing day by day? I'm not sure, OnePlus, if it's increasing day by day, But they do estimate, as I said in one of my earlier answers to the question, is that they estimate the market to be about 1.5% at the moment and growing to about 7% within the next 10 years. There's another question. What are there so many misconceptions about the lab-grown diamonds? I'm not sure what the question is, Sahil Javeri. I don't think there are any misconceptions. I think the biggest conundrum that we're facing is the question of what is the industry's job in terms of differentiating between natural diamonds and synthetic diamonds. So I don't think there's any misconceptions. And I also think that the advertising that the lab-grown diamond producers are using is detrimental to the, not detrimental to the diamond industry, but I think they're using the wrong type of advertising because they're trying to blame or trying to negate the good that the natural diamond industry is doing and to promote their own products. They're not actually stating all the good that the diamond industry is doing, but they are trying to say the amount of good that they are doing, and I think that is wrong. I think they should actually try and promote their own product, let it stand on its own feet, not at the expense of ours. Rahenda Jain asked, will lab-grown diamonds in future take away some of the market share of natural diamonds and high-colored branded cubic zirconia? In terms of diamonds, I don't think it will take away a market share. As I said earlier, they estimated to be a maximum of 7% of global turnover in about 10 years' time. But also bearing in mind that our diamonds are decreasing in terms of supply and demand. So I believe that the natural diamond industry will still continue to grow, if not in caratage, but definitely in value. And again, the lab-grown industry will grow. There's nothing wrong with that, but it will grow for a specific segment of the market. And that will be, as I like to think, for the costume jewelry market. Yeah, Rahendra, I can't speak about cubic zirconia, but I'm sure that it will affect the cubic zirconia market as well. Then we have a question from Akash Zunda. Which country has more scope of business and acceptance of synthetic diamonds? I don't think it's any specifically one country. I think that market will be into the same markets that the natural diamonds will be selling. So I'm not sure at this particular point in time, because there's still such a small percentage of the market, exactly where it will be sold, although it is promoted quite extensively in the American market. Dipal K. Why lab-grown diamonds will never be cheap to manufacture? It is cheap to manufacture because the machinery that it needed to make can continue to grow. So the more you make a product, the cheaper it becomes. So I think it will be cheaper to manufacture in terms of the rough product. We have Adar Jain. Is there a price difference between lab-grown and CVD? I don't think so, Adar. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think there would be a difference between it because it's one product, it's one and the same once it's been polished. Sahil Javeri. Why synthetic diamonds is an incorrect term for laboratory created diamonds? It's not a question of incorrect term, Sahil. It's a question of not wanting to confuse the consumer. I think that we have to stick to certain terminologies, and also if you look at the latest FTC issue of trade guidance, FTC guidelines, they are specific what it can be called. So yes, you can use lab-grown, laboratory-grown diamonds. You can use synthetic diamonds. Those are not incorrect terms. What will be incorrect terms will be cultured diamonds and that type of nomenclature that sometimes was being used. We've got Benefit Paymaster again. Why is the production numbers of mined diamonds have not gone up over the years? Well, Benefit, that's a very, very good question. And the simple answer is that diamonds have been made by nature, not by machine. And nature has only made so many diamonds in the world. And in years to come, and I don't say how long it's going to be, diamonds are going to run out. There's no doubt about it. Already there is a prediction of a shortage of diamonds. So no new diamond mines have been found that can dramatically increase the production of rough diamonds. And hopefully they will find some more mines. De Beers' new mine in Canada has come on stream. They're going to increase the production by going underground of their mines in southern Africa. So yes, there will be some sort of increase, but it won't be enough to meet the supply of diamonds. Then Adar Jain says, are there any different growth methods apart from HPHT and CVD? Adar, I don't think so. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think so. Excuse me. Another question from Adar. Why do you think there should not be a diamond price list? Simple reason is this is a product that has been made by a machine. That machine can make different colors, different purities at the same price. So why would there be a price list like a natural diamond price list where you have different colors that nature has produced, have grown diamonds? Sahil Javeri, why all 1 carat diamonds aren't the same price? I think that's because different manufacturers or different producers of lab-created diamonds are selling them at the different prices. There's no fixed price list for them, and they are entitled to sell them at whatever price they want to. As we know, Lightbox is selling it at $800 a carat, and some of the other producers up to $4,500 a carat, and that's their right to do. Another one from Adar. Isn't the natural price supply too high at this time for there to be a shortage? So shouldn't mining stop? No, definitely not. I don't think mining should stop. I don't think that there is an oversupply at this particular point in time. And I think market dynamics is actually proving that. And we've seen some good sales figures coming out of the Americas, the Chinas, and the Indias in terms of the December sales period. So no, I don't think so at all. We have a question from Adhira Barot. Which is the best market consumers for diamond jewelry? How best can we sell synthetic diamond jewelry? Adhira, I'm not actually in the space of the synthetic market, but if I had to hazard a guess, I would say at this particular point in time, it would be America. I think they're promoting it quite extensively there, and I think there seems to be a bit of a market in America. I've got a few other questions on the screen. From Benefer again, do you think cutting and polishing facilities would do well for themselves to start to embrace lab-grown diamonds? That is a decision that each and every diamond cutting factory should make on their own. I think that if there's a market for it, they should, yes, look at polishing synthetic diamonds. There's nothing wrong with polishing it. Again, as I said, it has its market, it has its space in the diamond jewelry industry. It's just a question of disclosure. So yes, if they are polishing it, and I know in Surat they are polishing quite a lot of synthetic stones, there's nothing wrong with that. Adar Jain asked the question, how well are South African consumers accepting lab-grown diamonds? Adar, the synthetic market in South Africa is extremely small. I can't even tell you how small it is. So there's not really a big market for synthetic diamonds in South Africa at this particular point in time. I think that's all the questions that I have on my screen here. I can't see any other questions. Anything else from GemAtlas? Okay, yeah, we have a few more questions from Bhavesh Shah. Are lab-created diamonds worth anything? Bhavesh, I think I answered that in one of the earlier questions, but just to answer your question, I don't think so. It has a market value of $800 a carat at the moment. And why would people buy them from a second-hand dealer or so? Because you can go and buy them anywhere, anytime. So I think that, no, I don't think that they are worth anything, not like diamonds. I think those are the end of the questions. I don't know if there's any other questions that anyone would like to pose. Otherwise, maybe I would suggest that we start closing this webinar. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for participating. I'd like to thank GemAtlas for giving me the opportunity to answer all the questions that have been posed, and I hope it's been fruitful and worthwhile for yourselves to listen to my answers to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blom, for having this very detailed, insightful session with us today and answering all the questions so patiently. We would also like to thank all the participants for joining us today and clarifying all your questions with regards to the synthetics and the Lightbox coming into the industry. With this, we are good to close the session for today. In case if you have any questions, you can drop us an email on info@gematlas.com and we would be happy to answer them. With this, we are closing the session for today. Thank you.